Welcome to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Maybe you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck in your business, your job, your relationships, or your life. All of our guests have something in common with you. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly. Today is no exception. Please join us in welcoming Janice Campbell to the show. Janice is the founder of the Tri-State Canine Response Team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides crisis response and emotional support to those in need with certified, trained teams of dogs and their handlers. Based in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, their official mission, to which their all volunteer group is dedicated, is to comfort, support, and enhance the quality of life for those who are suffering from a personal condition or community crisis, utilizing the human-canine bond and its power to heal. The Tri-State Canine Response Team has provided certified and trained handler dog teams for animal-assisted activities, animal-assisted therapy, and animal-assisted crisis response. Since 2015, the team has touched the lives of more than 167,223 people in 9 years. Tri-State Canine Response Team is also proud to be the CIT New Jersey Canine Ambassadors for the CIT, which is Crisis Intervention Team of New Jersey. In that capacity, they provide services to 20 counties on an as-needed basis. Some of the services they have provided include crisis response support, comfort, and support during funerals. Also, question, persuade, refer training, presentations on the function and availability of Tri-State Teams partnerships during National Night Out and other local mental health and law enforcement events. I'm honored to have Janice and a member of her team with me here in the studio. So, without further ado, please join me in a round of applause in welcoming Janice Campbell and team member of the Tri-State Canine Response Team to our show. So, yay! Round of applause. So, hi, and who is your team member with you?
I have to introduce him. He's the most important one actually here today, and everybody always wants to know. This is Logan. Logan is a golden retriever. He is 2.5 years old, and something special about him we always tell the children is Logan means little hollow, and he has a birthday on Halloween.
Oh, wow. Well, very nice to meet you, Logan. And I can't really ask Logan this question because, well, I like to think I can talk to dogs, but sometimes I even think I understand what they're saying. But better question for you. What you're doing is profound and really does change lives. But I don't imagine that when you were a young child that you saw yourself living into this tremendous mission. So our first question we ask every guest is, what do you want to be when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, I knew I was always going to do something with animals. And I was an equestrian, so I did a lot of riding and showing of horses. And I knew at that time, I guess it would have been I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Oh.
Because I always wanted to be immersed working with animals.
Okay. So how did you go from that to this amazing nonprofit?
It was a combination of two things that I loved. Obviously working with animals, and I was a tester and observer for Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So I was always working with dogs. And my background is I worked 20 years for the Mental Health Association in Southwestern New Jersey. So I had my background of mental health and also the dogs, and we married the two together, the two passions that I had together. And in 2015, when we started Tri-State, it wasn't a time when people were really talking about mindfulness or it's okay not to be okay or really taking care of yourself as they are doing now. So I knew there was a niche and a need of things we could fill. We started Tri-State really to help our first responders, our police, our firemen, our EMT, our dispatch. When things happen, these are the people that are going out and taking care of everybody else, but they're not taking care of themselves. And I worked next to Ed Dobelman, who was the CIT coordinator for Legacy for the state of New Jersey, all 21 counties, and we could see the difference that the dogs made working with people in mental health. We worked at some boarding home outreach programs. We worked with the inpatient, voluntary, and involuntary sides at Burlington County at their hospital. And the dogs could touch and help people in ways that the nurses, the doctors, the therapists really couldn't.
Wow. And so you had worked in the mental health industry. You decided to marry the two. What prompted you to start Tri-State Canine Response Team specifically?
Well, I knew I was going to be retiring in 7 years.
Okay.
So I wanted to have something to do after I retired, and the need in the community was huge. More and more things were happening. So I figured I had 7 years before I retire. I borrowed some money from my retirement fund, started the 501c3, and didn't realize that the year after we started it in 2015 and 2016, Pulse Nightclub would give us a call and ask for us to come down and support their first responders. So at that time, we were like, well, we picked Tri-State, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. We could deploy out within an hour, 2 hours. We would be able to, get to the response in time. We never thought about going to a different state. So with that being said, we asked our treasurer, is this something we can do? Can we go and support the community and the first responders? And we really didn't have the money to do it because we just started. And someone said something about a GoFundMe. And honestly, we didn't even know what GoFundMe was. We were like, you just ask for money and people go in and put money for you to go. So we set up a GoFundMe account, and that was our first fundraiser that we had. And we raised, I think, $800, enough to send one dog down. But we borrowed money and we sent a full team of 6 dogs and handlers down. And that was our first deployment. And we've been on 18 national deployments since that we were asked to be able to go out and support. So we're hoping that one day we would never have to go out to a deployment, but as we know, our culture and the things that are happening, unfortunately, we get asked to go often to support.
And, I can't emphasize enough that your entire team is volunteer.
We are all volunteer.
Yeah. And so, I see you have Subaru. Shout out to Subaru. I know they're very active in supporting animal causes, and they're right here in New Jersey. I noticed one of the first things, obviously, on your website is, donors. Is there anyone else in particular that you would like to just, mention that have been great supporters of your organization, and as well as your volunteers? Well,
Subaru is one of our main sponsors we got, and they support us with being able to have a vehicle, but also being able to put new team members on and to outfit our teams and our dogs. We also have on our shirt, you'll see Mary's Fund. And Mary's Fund, when people will ask, who is Mary? And Mary is Mary Sherlock. And she was the school counselor at Sandy Hook who lost her life the day of the mass shooting, protecting the children. And Mary's Fund is down here in Deptford, New Jersey, her son Mara Schwartz and Eric Schwartz. And they also support us. We have a fundraiser every year that they sponsor. We also have DRI, who is one of our sponsors now. So we have more people coming in to support us. But we have fundraisers. We have the Boy Scouts. They'll sell popcorn and raise $250, and that sponsors a dog. We have the Girl Scouts. We have, individuals who know the work that we do that want to support us. So anyway, people in the community reach out when these kind of causes and things happen to help us pay it forward and to help. We now started with 5 dogs and 5 handlers, and we're up to 104 volunteers. And we have teams in 8 different states. We have teams in Florida and Texas, Indiana. So we have, different states that we're covering also, where we have teams located around the country. And honestly, when I was going to do something when I retired, I never thought it would be, as large of a mission that we were doing. But every day we're blessed to be able to pay back with our dogs. Yeah. And they have the gift, they do the work.
But they have amazing handlers that they work with who help transport them to those different locations.
We do, we work hard.
And obviously you do it, you can tell how much you love it. And I'd say, what personally for you do you find most fulfilling about this work?
I guess the most fulfilling is that I love animals, and to be able to have the relationship with my dog and also be able to help other people, to be a parent, to be a partner with that. And I always think of an example that I'll share the story if it's okay to do that now.
Absolutely.
We were in Las Vegas, Nevada for the mass shooting at the concert, and they had 58 people that lost their life. And I went to the Memorial Garden that day to just meet with the different people that were there paying their respects. And my dog, her name was Cece, she has since passed. She was insistent on going up to this person, this lady who was there by herself. And she went back to her. She went back to her a third time. And I said to her, I am so sorry that my dog keeps coming up to you. And she said, that's okay. And she unzipped her bag and she took out her husband's cremains. She said, I flew in today to pick up my husband's cremains. I'm here by myself. And I can't bring myself to go up to the wall to take his picture down so that I can write goodbye to him. So I did not know that, but my dog knew that. She sensed that, and that animal-human bond, she could read that, and she knew that that person needed her. Wow. So we went up to the wall with her. She took, his name was Brian. She took Brian's picture down. She wrote a goodbye note to him, and we put it back up. These are stories that wasn't just that one day. Yeah. This happens all the time, over and over again, where the dogs have this special gift of knowing who needs them. We all know of us at home who have dogs when we come home and we've had a bad day and our dog can sense it and they know just what to do. This happens to us on deployments, especially when the dogs start to learn what their job is. And for me, that reward or that gift is that I'm on the other end of the leash to be able to see my dog doing that work and that job. And it's, they're true blessings. They're true blessings with the work they do. She led me through a crowd of people at the Cross Memorial, and she would stop, and the person's bottom lip would be quivering, and I knew they were the people who needed her the most, or us the most. And myself and many of the handlers are crisis counselors, so we're trained in critical incident stress management debriefings. We're with the Traumatic Loss Coalition. We're the disaster relief crisis counselors. So when we're meeting people in these crisis situations or the first responders, we're able to provide that psychological first aid or that support. And many times people will say, this is the first time I've been able to laugh or breathe or feel like, you know, I'm going to be okay after all of this. And they do that. I mean, it's a true gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Believe it or not, we're already at the halfway point.
Uh-oh.
Does that work for you, Logan? When I smile down, I smile back. So please come back after this break for our sponsors for more of What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's really special guests with the Tri-State Canine Response Team, Janice, Campbell, and Logan. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television and today's very special guests from the Tri-State Canine Response Team, Janice Campbell, founder, and team member Logan. And you know, you've really spent a lot of time helping change the trajectory of people's mourning experiences. I know you mentioned a couple of different places that you've been deployed to. But one of the things we didn't talk a lot about yet is the work that you do in partnership with the state in terms of police and their funerals and things like that. So if you can share what you do as part of working with, you know, the people who are putting their lives on the line every day, our emergency responders in New Jersey.
Well, 99% of our work is done here in the tri-state area in New Jersey, and being connected as the CIT ambassador dogs of New Jersey, we cover all 21 counties. So when anything happens throughout the state, we have our coordinators in each of the county that reach out to us and we're able to support. So we're able to work at an officer's funeral. We set up a canine comfort room where we'll be able to have the children of the officers or people come through. We also recently started in 2019, at Rowan University, they had 3 deaths from suicide. And one of our team members came up to us and said, you know, we're always going out after there's a suicide in a school or after an officer takes their own life. She said, is there something we can do that's preventive? And I said, well, you know, we are crisis response. Our mission is to go out after a crisis, but I would put it up to the board and see what they said. So the board took the request. They thought about it for 30 seconds. And they said if there was one officer that we could save the life of, or one student that didn't die by suicide, the answer was yes, we would have to do something. So we certified our team members, 3 of our team members in QPR, which is Question, Persuade, Refer, Suicide Preventive Education. And we've certified over 1,000 first responders and officers just last year alone throughout the counties, so that we can you know, provide that education to them. So we do that. We also work in 82 different schools. We work with our veterans. We work alongside of the Traumatic Loss Coalition in the schools, the Disaster Relief Crisis Counselors. So we really have our hands in many areas in the community, both in education and support. We work with our special needs, our autistic children in the schools. So we have many background. Our volunteers are teachers, retired doctors. They come from a vast array of experiences. But what's really nice about it is they all have the special gifts of the dogs, and they want to give back into the community. So he wants to come and say hello.
Come on, it's okay.
Okay.
My doggies are going to be really jealous, but you are such a nice guy. Yes, you are. My doggies would probably love you if they got a chance to meet you. And
there's a lot of training. I got Logan when he was 8 weeks old, and he started at 8 weeks, preparing him for the work that he's doing. He found something to nibble on the floor.
Oh.
And we started training with him, and the dogs are first trained as therapy dogs, where they get their background, they work for a year, and then after that they're screened to do crisis work, where they can work in unpredictable environments, where we could be able to not know exactly what we're walking into, and the dog would be able to continue to do the work that they're doing. So they are specially trained. And not all dogs are puppies. Some are rescue dogs, some are career change dogs that may be seeing eye dogs that came from a job that they can't do anymore or they're not suited for. So the dogs live with us. Everybody always asks that question, where do they live? Do they get to live with you? And the answer is yes, he lives with me, with his sister. I have 2.
Aww.
And they sleep in bed with us, and they are our pets. So when they do deploy with us, they are actually going with us and staying in the hotels and working in the community. We're very careful for their care, welfare, and safety to advocate for them, that the work they're doing is safe for them, that we're not overworking them or overstressing them. Awesome. We make sure they're taken care of on the deployments, that they have everything they need. If it's a swamp coat that keeps them cool, if it's a hot temperature, to taking days where they get to go swimming or they get to run up in the mountains to be able to de-stress themselves, because they take on all the energy and the pain of the people that we're visiting.
That was going to be one of my questions is what do they do for, and what do you both do for your self-care?
Well, we screen before we go, and we have our debriefing when we get back within 72 hours, but we also have our meals together, and we make sure that we are checking in on each other and what was the worst thing that happened that day, because we had 3 deployments in 2 months once last year, and it can be a lot, but we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves to be able to give and to take care of other people when we're out there. So.
Especially on top of it, you're all volunteering, so it's not like you're going away and getting paid to do this work. You're going simply because this is your purpose.
To make a difference, right?
To make a difference for the people that you're working with. What's something you wish you knew before you decided to take on this mission?
It's a balance. So for me, with Tri-State, to be honest with you, marketing is something, and IT and social media is something we are not good at and we don't do well. The dog handling, the work that we do, that really is. I didn't know that I needed to have as much experience in that area. So I'm learning now that I'm spending a little bit more time doing that than I really want to do, because my goal was to always be working with my dogs. So finding the people and plugging people in to be able to do the marketing or the IT pieces is something that's important, so that I can continue to do, you know, what my mission is and what I love to do with working with my dogs and sharing them. So it's a balance when you're, you know, a founder and a president, that you have to take care of all those different things at the same time. So doing that.
Which is, yes, you know your strengths.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd be very surprised if there weren't some volunteers out there that would love to help with some of that. In case you're watching volunteers out there that would love to help with something like that. I'd say, what advice would you give to someone who was thinking about working either as a volunteer with your organization, or even maybe they're in a state where you're not currently active, if they were thinking about doing something like this themselves?
We have actually helped 3 different states get up and running, and we help a lot of career dogs. I'm also teach a therapy dog class at Wonder Dogs in Berlin, New Jersey. But anyone who really wants to get started or to volunteer with us, they don't even really have to have a dog, because many times we need volunteers to come along with us to support the dogs and to support the work that we're doing. Oh, thank you. And we, like myself, I have 2 dogs, so I have people that are certified to handle my second dog. So there's different ways that people can always help with the organization. And if you have a dog that you're not sure could do the work or not, we mentor people into the group. If your dog has the right temperament and can do the work, needs a little bit of obedience and tweaking and learning experience, we can bring you in as a caring canine, not a crisis dog, and you can work in that capacity. Now, when Logan gets older and he doesn't want to do crisis work anymore, he may volunteer to go down and want to do caring canine work, where he goes to the library and people read him stories and tickle his tummy, where he doesn't want to go out and do the high-end crisis work. And we follow that and respect that.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
So we would love to have, if anyone's interested, to be able to reach out to us, and we can help evaluate if your dog can do the work, and support you through the process of sharing your dog with others.
And even if you are new to marketing and social media, people are obviously finding you.
They are.
Which is both a blessing and a curse, because obviously that means that you're needed, but that you're able to be there for people who are in need. I guess one of my other questions would be, you know, who, if anyone in particular, has kind of inspired you and supported you through this process of deciding, you know, whether they were an inspiration or an influence?
I would say it was probably in the very beginning and getting started with this, with an idea that we had, was probably back in 2012, was Lori McGuffin, who worked with a group home, and she worked with children and put together a pilot program as to what the measurable outcomes would be and how we could actually implement that and get it started. And she was the one who kind of took, I knew the idea, and I could see the difference it made. I worked at a group home one day, and there was a gentleman there who had not left the group home in 20 years. And I said, could everybody just stay here? I'm going to take Ellie out to use the bathroom. And he said, I'll take her out. And he took the leash with me holding it also, and it was the first day he left his group home in 20 years. And I learned after that that as a young boy, his parents had raised Vizsla hunting dogs, and as a little boy, his job was to take the puppies out and teach them to use the bathroom outside. And this gentleman, after 20 years, left the home for the first time. And it was just all those little moments of things that happened. And Lori McGuffin was one of the people who really, you know, sat with me, put something together and said, how are we going to make this happen? What would it look like? And it was that in that beginning, you know, phases of it. So I would think she was a big inspiration. She probably doesn't even know it. I don't think I've really shared that with her as much, but she was.
Yeah, and that's actually the perfect positive note to transition to this part of the conversation. And people do want to get involved. and support you and learn more about you, where can they find you?
You can go to our website, which is www.tristateK9response.org. I don't know, did you put your phone number out there or not?
That's totally up to you.
Okay,
but
my
if
phone
it's on-
number
I was
is
gonna say,
everywhere.
If it's on your website,
Yeah.
feel free to say it.
My phone number is 609-828-0684. And that's my personal cell number that you can reach me, both to come out and support and help if something were to happen, and also to see, how you could volunteer or to evaluate your dog.
Awesome. And I also know you're on Facebook too, and some other,
Yes.
so you can definitely find them. Thank you so much to Logan and to Janice for coming into the studio and sharing your story and the amazing things you're doing for people at really one of the most difficult times in their life. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you
the
for this
work you do.
opportunity to, share this time with you.
Maybe we'll have you back at some point because
we would love to.
I suspect we're going to have a lot of people who really, really enjoyed Logan. So, regarding our upcoming guests, they may not be as furry and fun, but you still don't want to miss our conversations with them. They include leaders from all industries and backgrounds, and many of them overcame seemingly insurmountable challenges to figure out their purpose. So tune in and be inspired by how they did what they did and how you can also achieve whatever you set your mind to when you overcome the fear of change or failure. And if you missed any of our past guests and you want to check out what they had to say, you can catch all of seasons 1 through 3 of our show on the What the Why page of RVN Television's website. You have so many viewing choices these days, so thank you very much for tuning in, and please tell a friend or colleague about us. And as a reminder, What the Why is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on RVN Television, as well as on Roku. And also, whether you're looking to make changes in your life, no matter how big or small, please tune in again for more informational, illuminating, and amazing conversations with guests like Janice and Logan, who decided that what they wanted to do in life was really make a difference in the lives of others, and they went forth and figured out how to find their purpose and live it.